Space, a frontier. These are the voyages of the YouTube channel Smash-O-Mash, our continuing mission to provide legitimate information and stuff that's not nonsense, such as our Geospace Magnetosphere movie. This is the last 4 hours of the earthly geospace, and it's a pretty low-pressure environment here. The scale that this is modeled in is nanopascals magnetohydrodynamic pressure. And we've got a fairly weak solar wind here. It's a bit diffuse and a bit on the slow side. That was Earth's magnetic moment from space. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Our ground magnetic perturbations movie, the last 4 hours. Scaled in nanotesla. That's the model product you're seeing here, part of the space weather modeling framework. Things quite calm in the earthly geospace. We'll get to the real-time solar wind, coronal holes, solar flares, and more in a moment. First, the KP index, which is at 2. It's a KP2, planetary K index of 2, geomagnetic calm conditions. No solar storms in the forecast, and the 10.7 centimeter radial flux only at 119 solar flux units as we watch solar cycle 25 ramp up. Now, this switch in the solar wind density here, this was a switch in the instrument. So you can see here, if you look at the bottom line here, the green line is the ACE spacecraft, and the blue line is the Discover spacecraft. That is a switch over from one instrument to the other one. So, not really sure if we saw a real density uptick there or not, although it looks like the ACE's data was moving up. Current conditions showing up as a slightly increased solar wind density here, around 14 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed very low here, at only 314 kilometers per second. The rest of this fairly unremarkable. Keep in mind, folks, both of those spacecraft, the ACE and Discover, are located all the way out at Lagrange Point 1, about 1 million miles, around 4 lunar distances in between the Earth and the Sun. Next, magnetic data here is the GOES magnetometer's readout for the past 3 days. Some spiky readings showing up there. Maybe it is some plasma arriving. Perhaps some high-speed coronal hole wind stream material showing up. In any case, here's the heliospheric current sheet. Earth remains in a North Pole current sheet, and we can expect to remain there for the foreseeable future. Keep in mind the magnetic environment can suddenly change. For example, a sunspot could suddenly form. North shown in green, south shown in red. It's a pretty even split at the moment. We'll also show the line of sight view and most of the activity in the southern hemisphere. There is an active region rising in the northeast. We'll be keeping an eye on that. And when I say eye on, well, pardon the pun. Next, coronal holes. Here is your coronal hole plot. And we've got some trans-equatorial North Pole-oriented coronal holes rotating in here. The Sun's B field, shown in blue. We showed you the Earth's B field, at least changes in it, on the Geospace Magnetosphere movie's ground magnetic perturbations. There are the Sun's B fields. The B field is the field that goes through the magnet, folks, this magnet being the Sun. Speaking of the magnetic Sun, here it is in 193 angstroms. And you can see the definition of these North Pole-oriented coronal holes here getting a little bit better. We can expect the definition to indeed increase as the days come forward, because there's a lot of bumpy plasma in between us and the Sun, us and those coronal holes right now, and that is obscuring those a little bit. We've got coronal mass ejections to cover as well. First, we'll move into sunspots. All right, so we've got sunspot 3007 now. It's got a name. There may be a new sunspot rising up here in the northeast. We don't see any umbra yet. It is not yet a sunspot. We should know later in the day if we can expect that to be a sunspot or not. Likelihood of solar flares is still kind of high here as we see the setting of sunspot 3005 and 3004. And as sunspots approach the limb, they become more likely to produce large flares. Let's take a look at it visually. Here's 1700 angstroms from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. So 3007 still quite significant. Several large ombre there. It looks like it's actually gained a little complexity since yesterday. 3004 is just huge, the leading umbra, like 2 Earth diameters there. 3005 is interesting as well. It's a beta gamma class sunspot group. This is a beta gamma class sunspot group, and this is a beta gamma class sunspot group. So there's all complex magnetic fields on all 3 of those groups there. And yeah, those are much more likely to produce major flares than simple alpha class sunspot groups. We'll show you the flare profile here momentarily. First, I'd like to thank all of our YouTube viewers for putting up with the pathetic censorship on the platform. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Please press share, press a notification bell. Check out our playlists. If you haven't seen our cosmology segments, there are over 200 of them on the channel. We've got videos about driving and workout stuff, and yeah, do one thing. Because, folks, a quick reminder, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So let's continue on here. To invite you to join us on Twitter. If you think it's fixed, it's not. It's exactly the same as it was. It's promoting ultra-rich, ultra-famous celebrities and suppressing small businesses, especially ones who are full of facts. Today's public service message is forgive, remember, and hold accountable. It's also accompanied by a series of products, like if you'd like a shower curtain, or perhaps a shirt or a sticker, even some hoodies, and it comes in different colors as well, so check our website, smashomash.com. You can find a link to the Smasho merch right there. Forgive, remember, and hold accountable, because forgive and forget is so 2019. Have you noticed a complete lack of accountability? People unable to do their own jobs and continue to get paid for it? Yeah, I noticed. I've noticed. So rather than forgive and forget, how about forgive, remember, and hold accountable? For all you Bible types out there, no place in the Bible does it say forgive and forget. That is nonsense. Forgive, remember, hold accountable, move on. Thanks to our new BitChute subscribers, we are putting up exclusive content daily on BitChute. If you're not seeing certain stuff on YouTube, it's probably because we moved it to BitChute to create a little bit of diversity. Thanks to our Twitch followers as well. If you're a larger channel on Twitch, please host us. We've only got 150 followers on Twitch. The Smash News Network, Least Busted Name and News, regularly streams live because it's such a great platform. Twitch.tv/Smashomash. Download the app. You'll see when we go live. We did a live stream on YouTube yesterday, by the way. Also, thanks to our Smash Team members, especially Gold and Silver members. If you want to see all of our major video posts in one location, just click on Posts from smashomash.com/Smash Team. You'll find all of our major releases in one location. You can find links to that on the homepage at YouTube. You can find the links to YouTube and links to our Smash Team, our Patreon, a permanent invite link to our Discord chat, our PayPal, our Twitter. We're also on Gab, Locals, Instagram. We're all over the internet. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. If you're new to YouTube, let us know how you found the channel. The hashtag system is broken on all social media. I don't know if you're aware or not. It's just a basic fact. The hashtag system clearly does not work on social media. I don't know when it got broken, but it's been broken for a long time. I'd say several years. What's not broken is the GOES 16 proton detector. It's showing flatlined readings. We might see a spike in this if we see a major flare. We'll keep an eye on that, too. Speaking of ions, this creates ionization pathways, you know. Yeah, ionization pathways are created by high-energy photons like X-rays. It causes molecules to become ionized. Yeah, it'll steal electrons. It'll bounce electrons off of certain molecules and atoms. And yeah, there was one decent flare here. It was a C7.13, and it happened at about 1940 yesterday, Universal Time. Let's take a look at the closest star visually here in one of the better wavelengths to view flares, 94 angstroms. There was some coronal mass ejection coming out of this area, sunspot 3007, as well as a decent-sized flare. Going to let that one play through one more time. I think we've lowered the speed here. I think we're at 15 frames per second. And there you can see that large C-class flare. and the following coronal mass ejection. We'll get to the trajectory of that in a moment. Are you wondering if it's earthly directed or not? We'll let you know. First, a star chart. If you're up before dawn, you may see the planetary pileup consisting of Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus, all rising ahead of the Sun. Here's a solar system forecast for the next 7 days. That's where things will be in a week. It looks like full moon day will be on the 16th. And let's look at coronal mass ejections. This view will consist of stereo A from Lagrange 5 and the Soho-Lasco C3 from Lagrange 1. And we paused it here just before midnight and just after midnight here, because you can see this CME, that's the one associated with that C-class flare. That is expected to miss Earth well off to the southeast. As far as the one we're looking at yesterday, this one is a little bit more earthly directed, but not really. That's expected to miss Earth to the northwest. So I don't really see any, if there are any earthly directed components of any of these CMEs, they are minor. We'll let that play through one more time and close out the video. Just let that play through there. That's 90 frames, by the way, that we pulled on both of those. The stereo A coronagraph on the left and the Soho-Lasco C3 on the right. For you new viewers, from stereo A's perspective, Earth would be off in a line like this. And from the Lasco C3, Earth would be behind you from that perspective. So everything's looking fairly clear here. Again, we can expect, not again, just period, we can expect a coronal whole high-speed stream in like 5 days. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. May that solar wind be at your back.